Slater Crusaders, America's the greatest country in the world. Welcome to our Make America Healthy Again special. MAGA, Make America Great Again, is more than an election that took place last November. MAGA is a movement. And MAGA has a lot of aspects to it. This American golden era that we're ushering in here, that Trump speaks of, it can't just be a single political victory. It's got to be more than November 5th. And it can't even be just a couple bills that might pass. MAGA has to be bigger than that. It has to be a major cultural shift in America. That's the true renaissance. That's the rebirth that we need in our country. It's a reconnection to what we've lost or what has been actively taken away from us. And one of those things that's been taken from us is our health. Make America Healthy Again. It's a movement that's growing. More people seeing what's going on. And I'm trying to figure out what my role is in this movement. I'm not a nutritionist, so I have no authority to give advice here, beyond just like basics. As much as I look like a stunning Adonis in every conceivable way I know, I'm not an exercise expert or whatever, right? I can tell you what I do. That's all I got, right? So I'm trying to figure out what my forte is in this world. And I think my strength in this realm, this Make America Healthy Again realm, is something like making sure we see health as a conservative value. Somehow over the last few decades, health became this weirdo California crunchy hippie thing, right? Like Californian liberals drink their green smoothies. And then the conservatives are like, therefore, we're the opposite, and we just eat like junk all the time. It's like, I wanted to recapture health as a conservative value. Health needs to be once again a conservative value. I don't think we need to spend time here talking about how unhealthy we are. I'm sure you've seen pictures of beaches in the 70s in America. To give you a couple numbers, 75% of Americans are overweight, 40% are obese, a third of kids are obese. In 2013, just a decade ago, no state had more than 35% of their population obese. Today, 23 states have more than 35% of their population obese. And I compare that, and you're like, well, okay, that's the way it is. Well, it's not the way it was. Check out this video of a high school, La Serra High School in California. This was their gym class. Just like now they're pretty intense in it's above average gym class. But look at these guys. These guys are super jacked. They're in high school. There's regular guys in gym class. All right, that's what we used to be, and we need to be again. So let's take a moment. Let's go back as far as we can here. Let's talk about health as an ancient value. First, the Hippocratic Oath, 4th century BC. The Hippocratic Oath said, among other things, with regard to healing the sick, I will devise and order for them the best diet. But the word diet in Greek meant more than just food. Diet back then was a lifestyle. It was fitness. It was health overall. Of course, nutrition as well, but it was health overall. The Greeks had a very holistic view of health. And it fit under the category of something that they took very proudly, arete, or arete, A-R-E-T-E, arete. It means excellence or virtue. And the Greeks would apply that to the mind and also the body and the soul. Arete, excellence in all things. The Greeks were also very focused on potential and making sure you and everyone can live to their full potential, and health is essential as that. And that, just an example of how dedicated they were to this, it was the Greeks, of course, who came up with the Olympics. Michel de Montaigne in the 1500s said, it is not a mind, it is not a body that we are training, it is a man. And he ought not to be divided into two parts. I just want to share that quote again, this continuation of an idea of a mind and the body and the man all being one, connected. Quick little trivia question. You know the shoe brand ASICS? A-S-I-C-S? That is an acronym for Animo Sano in Corpore Sano. It means a sound mind and a sound body. So that thinking is ancient, worked its way all the way to our founding fathers. Thomas Jefferson wrote a letter giving advice to his 15-year-old nephew. And the opening of the letter was about what books you need to read, nephew. And he listed all the books that he needs to read in the original Greek and Latin. Then he said, give about 2 hours every day to exercise, for health must not be sacrificed for learning. A strong body makes the mind strong. Again, this idea of mind and body together. It's an ancient value. It was a founding father's value, and it worked its way through early American history. Teddy Roosevelt being the epitome of this. Teddy Roosevelt was born a sick, frail child. He had asthma, which at the time could kill people. He was nearsighted, and his dad was very disappointed in his young son. And the story goes that he took a young Teddy aside, and he said, Theodore, you have the mind, but you do not have the body. And without the help of the body, the mind cannot go as far as it should. I'm giving you the tools, but it's up to you to make your body. And Teddy Roosevelt responded and resolved right there. He said to Dad, I will make my body. But again, this is Teddy Roosevelt's dad, ancient virtue, founding father's virtue, conservative value. Your mind and your body are connected to make the man. And Teddy Roosevelt went on to live what he called the strenuous life. And he quickly in his childhood took up boxing. When he was at Harvard, he was on the crew team, then went on to lead the Rough Riders. And then one of my favorite books is called River of Doubt, about him and his son exploring a previously unknown river in the Amazon. They all almost died a couple times. It's a ridiculous book. It's called River of Doubt. He, in his speech about living a vigorous life, he said, we are a vigorous, masterful people. And the man who is to do good work in our country must not only be a good man, but also emphatically a man. We must have manliness, courage, strength, resolution, joined to decency and morality, or we shall make but poor work of it. So it's the morality, the intellect, and the physical strength. I know you may seem like, hold on, Slater, we started talking about health and like diet, and now we're talking about masculinity. It seems like, no, they're the same thing. That's my point. Health is an ancient virtue. Health is a conservative value. It's a Christian value, and it's an American value. We were settled by healthy people, the Pilgrims. We were founded by healthy people. We expanded to take over this whole nation, the frontier, because of healthy people. We thrived and won world wars because of healthy people. And today, we are unhealthy like no human beings have ever been before. And I, as a conservative, would like to conserve, or better yet here, restore the health and vigor that we used to have as Americans. And I want to give one more final motivation, if I may. Just did a segment on the radio this morning, actually, about how in America, two of our greatest natural resources is our bravado and rebelliousness. We'll save that for another special. But similarly, a final motivation, if you need one, is to stick it to the man. That's another thing that we love to do in America. We love to stick it to the man. We had a guy call in on the radio show on Sirius XM Patriot. He said he was 400 pounds. And like a year ago, he cut out processed foods and some other things, and now he's down to 200. And we had a bunch of people call in with stories like that. And then we had a bunch of dads call in and say that their kids were out of control and they cut out food dye and their life has changed. And it was so inspiring to hear people take control of their lives and for men to protect their families from poison that was coming into their house. And someone called in and they were equally inspired and they said, Slater, it's so cool to hear people stick it to the man. And I thought it was so awesome. Stick it to the man. The man wants us fat and sick. Stick it to him. Quick aside, and maybe we can get to this to our guests. The cigarette companies at one point had so much cash that they bought the food companies. And I first heard that, I was like, I've never heard that in my life. It's true. Philip Morris acquired Kraft Foods in 1988 for $13 billion. It was the largest non-oil merger in the United States at the time. And then Philip Morris bought General Foods and Nabisco. R.J. Reynolds, the tobacco company, bought Del Monte and Hawaiian Punch. Hawaiian Punch at the time was a cocktail mixer. And they decided to market it to kids as a juice. And they were the first people to put it in a juice box in 1983. So it was the tobacco companies who bought these food companies and did two things. They started marketing it to kids and doing a better job marketing in general, and they used scientists to make them more addictive. They've since spun them off, but the damage was done. It was the tobacco companies that changed the game for the food system in our country. So we need to stick it to the man and stop feeding this stuff to our kids and stop eating it ourselves. Stop being addicted, because addiction to you equals money for them. Your addiction is their money. Food, pharma, tech, it's all about addiction. Things that hijack your brain and capture your kids. It's a spiritual crisis too. We're becoming slaves to a system, and we hand our kids over to it, who are going to be stuck in it for the rest of their lives as well. We need to stick it to the man. It's time to make America healthy again.